Welcome to the IUPUI Center for Translating Research into Practice annual showcase and awards presentation. My name is Steve Beweg, and I serve as the Associate Director of the Center. The Center was founded in 2007 by Dr. Sandra Petronio, Professor Emeritus in Communications, who's an acclaimed translational scholar in the area of privacy management. When she and Chancellor Emeritus Charles R. Bance came to IUPUI, they noted that our campus was one of the most translational campuses they had ever seen in their careers. Dr. Bance currently serves as the executive director of the center that continues to identify, promote, and celebrate research that generates and uses knowledge in partnership with community members and students to solve problems that ultimately make life better. It's my pleasure now to introduce the executive director of the center and the fourth chancellor of IUPUI's campus to the podium. Please welcome Charles Bance.
Thank you, Steve, so much, and welcome to everybody. And you'll see Sandra and I popping in and out on the screen as our virtual background on the Duomo doesn't hold us perfectly. So my apologies for that. I'm amazed when we realize that this is the 13th of these annual showcases. Since Sandra launched the center and launched the idea with Steve of the showcase, where we try to celebrate each year the work of our colleagues on the campus, and that is exactly what we're here for tonight. Over these years, since the creation of the center, we have over 200 faculty on the campus who've identified themselves as translational scholars and are promoting their work on the campus. They're from an amazing array of disciplines and schools on our campus. And you can see in the screen, the variety of them is even greater because liberal arts, for example, has multiple departments, as do many of these schools, lots of different disciplines. We have brought up to the table the last year a new newsletter, thanks to our wonderful wizard of social media, Nuri McLucas. We have a monthly newsletter. If you're interested, take a look at it, and you'll see all the things going on across the campus that relate to this. There's also on social media, follow us, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. We'd like you to follow us as well. Before we recognize this year's Bance Petronio Translating Research into Practice Faculty Award, I want to introduce you to the 2021 Bance Community Fellow, Dr. Leslie Etienne, who is in the teacher education program in the School of Education, as well as in Africana Studies and Liberal Arts, and Dr. Tamara Jackson, who is in fact the Dean of the School of Education at IUPUI. And you'll see their program is related to the Freedom School. It's a summer of service, a lifetime of commitment, developing Freedom School interns as community engaged scholars. They have been selected to have this year as their year to work on this project, to focus and develop that. This project was supported, the fellow is supported by donors, and we want to thank always the donors that launched that fellowship in my honor. I was very pleased when I stepped down in 2015 that the idea of creating a fellowship in order to allow faculty to devote a significant part of their time through a year on their effort in community engagement. Interestingly, in that very first year of selecting, it was a really interesting process. We found ourselves in the position of saying we knew who we wanted to select for the fellow, but we knew we had another project that seemed really interesting and was newer to being developed, and that project was turned into being the Community Scholar Award, and which was supported by the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research, at that time led by Simon Atkinson, who suggested that he would fund that, and the office has done so right up to the present time under the current Vice Chancellor Bloom. And we are thrilled with that support because this year we've been able to support Dr. Victoria Garcia Wilburn, who is an occupational therapist who is also focused on working in the area of adolescence, and Dr. Devin Hensel, School of Medicine and Department of Sociology. And they're working on an exceedingly contemporary issue, how adolescents in a recovery high school handle and manage their cravings and triggers during COVID-19. Terrific projects, and we hope that you'll be able to follow this work. And next year, we hope to have the session in 2022, we'll have the opportunity to learn more about them. Here's what they plan to do, and we have a video of that.
Look at literacy here as a form of social justice, as a form of freedom.
Dr. Etienne and I have been working with Freedom Schools for a very long time. And a part of the Freedom Schools model centers intergenerational leadership. And what that means is we draw upon the strength and the energy of the youth, and we pair that with the wisdom and experience of the elders. The Freedom Schools project is solving multiple issues in the community. One of the components of Freedom School is that we have to provide children with nutritious meals and snacks. A lot of times when summer rolls around, families are worried about filling that gap for feeding children, and Freedom Schools provides that space. We provide children with 2 nutritious meals, breakfast and lunch, as well as 2 snacks, and we also send snacks home with children, particularly over the weekend, so that they have access to food. Unfortunately, schools have come to be known as these very sterile, serious spaces, but that's not how we learn. And so, we learn through experience. We learn through connecting things around us to our own personal stories. And so the children get excited about that. They get, they get an opportunity to get exposed to academic content, to be better readers and that sort of thing, but we do it in a fun, energizing kind of way. And so when our Harambe readers show up and they say good morning, and the children do the good morning chant, they're not ready for that. And it never gets old having new people come to Freedom School and to see the kind of energy that we have here.
What we will investigate with our community partner is how triggers and cravings of substance misuse impact students throughout their daily life. We are utilizing a data collection method known as Ecological Momentary Assessment, or EMA. EMA will allow the students to report their cravings and triggers in real time, eliminating barriers like recall bias. This information is critical so our community partner can best support their students along their journey of recovery by offering client-centered supports based on this data.
I am really fortunate that Dr. Wilburn has brought me on this project and included me in this long-standing community partnership she has with Hope Academy. As an adolescent health expert, I've built my career on committing myself and my research to serving the adolescents in communities. It's my hope that my involvement in this project and some of these skills that I bring to this research project will ultimately bear important pieces of information that will allow us to continue to support the long-term recovery and long-term well-being of the students of Hope Academy.
The benefits of this program are twofold. First, it will bring together the entities that traditionally have not collaborated together in the past. I love being part of trailblazing new ideas that focus on making the journey of recovery easier for our students. And second, it will create a tool for students to help evaluate their cravings and to be able to immediately course correct in real time. It was such a joy to be able to work with the youth at Hope Academy on this project, to see them grow from quietly slipping into the class to participate in coming in and talking and wanting to be there and share. Watching them take control of the project, work through any issues to come to an agreement with each other was so gratifying. They showed their care and concern to not only their peers, but also to us as leaders. They showed concern when someone was absent and was also able to celebrate another's success. These youth showed great creativity with the project, empathy with each other, and inclusion to all. I am thankful for the opportunity to be part of such a unique project with fantastic youth.
If you're interested to learn more about these impressive projects, you can visit the center's website at trip.iupui.edu. These awards are only possible with the generous support of donors and the Office of Vice Chancellor for Research. If you'd like to learn how to provide some additional support to this, you can see on the screen, contact me or any of the other members of the staff, or online, as you can see on the screen. It's important for that. Today, we're honored to recognize the 2021 Vance Petronio Translating Research into Practice Faculty Award. Sandra and I established this award back in 2013 because we believe translation is at the core of the campus. We believe that the award needs to recognize outstanding faculty research, which is interdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary, and is intentionally directed towards positively impacting people's lives within or beyond the state of Indiana. In addition to generating scientific or humanistic scholarship, the award recognizes faculty that actively endeavor to transform the knowledge into practices and solutions, and demonstrate innovative ways to improve the lives of individuals and the communities in which they live. This year's award is presented to someone who in fact does this very clearly and very well. Dr. Gerardo Maupome is an IUPUI Trip Scholar. He has an extensive expertise in public health and community-based translational research. He's conducted high-impact interdisciplinary and cross-disciplinary research. He's generated new knowledge and has clearly positively affected the health of Indiana residents and beyond. Having built strong and long-lasting community partnerships and building on his clinical background, he's worked to investigate and modify the social and behavioral aspects of health and disease. He's evaluated numerous things, including tooth decay, protective effect of antiseptic varnishes, the longevity of dental fillings, denture preferences, in studies with a wide variety of people, including American Indian adults, Swedish and Canadian elders, and young US children. He's designed culturally appropriate interventions to Central American nationals who are trying to navigate the healthcare system in Indiana. No editorial comment there. Collectively, Dr. Maupome has received or collaborated in research that's received over $14 million in external funding from numerous important sources, including the National Institutes of Health. He shares his work through presentations and publications, over 500 of those and counting, and he's mentoring students, junior faculty, and community members. He, in every conversation I've ever had with him, has been expressed a focus on health disparities and trying to confront health disparities and use social networks and living conditions into trying to enhance the quality of life of all human beings, no matter what their resources and opportunities. So we have a video first, and then we'll see him live.
My specific area of research, which is minority health, immigrant health, has an intimate connection with Black and Brown communities. We care deeply about the fact that many of these groups in society do not have the access, the resources, the tools, or the skills to have equal opportunity when it comes to health care and health issues. There are several issues that we try to alleviate with our research. The most important thing, perhaps, is understanding how the community at different levels help or undermine, in some cases, health outcomes.
One of the testimonials that we have about a successful project that we were able to promote to the community is that in our previous research, we created a joint manual where La Plaza and Dr. Maupome and his research team were the co-authors of this manual. So at La Plaza, we've had several vaccine clinics to receive the vaccine against COVID-19, which have been really successful. We've seen over 100 people most of the time at each vaccine clinic. So after people get their vaccine, they need to wait 15 minutes. And during that 15 minutes where people are just sitting, waiting to see if they have any reactions, we were able to take those manuals that we created jointly, and we were able to distribute them and give a short presentation about dental oral health care and how to prevent cavities. We were also able to share all the resources that came in that manual. And the manual was so successful that we ran out. We had several hundred, so we printed some more and then just referred people who were able to obtain one of those manuals to the website where the manual is housed.
Congratulations, Dr. Maupome. We welcome you to make your presentation. I love this. Does it look infected to you? Peer networks, health behaviors, and healthcare seeking behaviors among Hispanics. Welcome, Dr. Maupome, from Colorado, no less.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me get my presentation going. Hopefully I will be able to get it on the screen. And let me go back to where I was. First and foremost, thank you so much for your overly generous introduction about my work. It's much appreciated. I really think that being part of the trip has been one of the most important aspects of my work with IUPUI. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do that. Now let me share the screen. Let's see if I can do this. And I really thank, let me get this.
We've got it.
Is it okay? Okay, then we have it. Well, many thanks to Drs. Petroni and Vance for the generosity and the invitation to be part of this. I really think that one of the major issues that we have in healthcare is to really be up to the challenge of being relevant to real world. And I have had a blessed career. I really am a very lucky person to be able to have added a little bit of support to increase the level of knowledge throughout academia, and not only to work with community members, but actually to co-create that knowledge in such a way that it's perceived to be relevant to what they want to see in the responses from academic allies. One of the first questions about the presentation today is not only so much that does this look infected to you, but actually is why study social networks and health? And this is going to help us perhaps clarify how people share information, how they validate attitudes, how they transfer norms, social norms about health and disease. The issue of social networks is that it is a very important way of looking at health issues because complex methods such as social network analysis account for complexity. And these are highly heterogeneous factors involved in a health phenomenon. And there are many interactions, and many of these systems adapt depending on whether you have better or worse access to care, medical care, pharmaceutical supplies. The most important thing is that in great many cases, the traditional approaches have studied those phenomena. These are in individual variables. And the problem with this is that we don't have a fuller picture of what's going on. Now, we know that social networks are associated with health. Perhaps the time in 2007 when it became pretty apparent throughout the literature was the paper by Christakis and Fowler that they were not by any means the creators of network methods, but they actually wrote this paper in the New England Journal of Medicine that was extremely popular because it showed that obesity is contagious. It's not something that you happen to be in the same category as you certain things, but just the fact that you associate with people who have excess weight make you more susceptible to developing excess weight. More close to the home front, where we have giants like Bernice Pescosolido, one of the major players in network analysis, and one of her students, Priya Perry, who's now a very well-established researcher on her own right. They are from Bloomington, and they publish a lot about mental health and elements of social networks modifying those experiences. These three papers talk about the role of social networks in the context of these different types of diseases. At the most basic level, we talk about social influence, because we have that the fact that we interact with each other lends support, negative or positive, and or in some cases this is coercion across actors on a network. It's like my mom telling me, Gerardo, did you brush your teeth before going to sleep? And that kind of thing. That is a coercion, is a benevolent and positive coercion, but coercion nevertheless. And that helps to transfer attitudes, knowledge, and other things. It regulates health behaviors, and for all of these reasons affecting behaviors and decisions about healthcare is that networks are very dynamic exchanges of information. Now, when we look at this model by Bergman's group in 2000, you can see the different layers of the upstream and downstream factors that lead to health behaviors. We in social networks are very specifically concerned with this intermediate level, the meso level of social networks. That doesn't mean that they can be separated from the entire picture. No, but it actually defines where in the structure of influence these social networks are in the meso level. Now, what are social networks? For any practical purpose is a set of actors and relations defined on them. This is a very simple definition that Stanley Wasserman, another one of the major players in IU Bloomington for network science, coined many years ago. And I like more the definition by Luke. It says a group of objects or social entities that are related to one another in some important way. So it is not a trivial relation, it's something that is meaningful. And the important thing is that there are many uses of the colloquial term social network, like all of these Facebook and Flickr and Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of these things. These systems are examples of networks, but these are not the definition of social network. It's simply just one example of one type that it has the network characteristics. We are more interested at the level of our research in something that is called egocentric network methods. Here what we have are ties, relationships in the links between nodes. Ego, in this case, is the person that we use for the respondent, being the respondent of in the interview where we're going to collect data. Let's say that this ego is Gerardo now, and they ask him about the alters, so the people that are peers in my group that are important. My social network is made up of Juan, Maria, Martin, Carlos, and Alejandra, and I talk about them in the interview. This is important because in egocentric data, the relationships are quite important. For example, links can be directed or not directed. In this case, we can see that George can in fact pass a disease to Joe, but Joe cannot pass the disease to George. Randy and Joe pass the disease to each other. And Jim can in fact be affected by diseases from George and Randy because through Joe they pass that disease. This could be a disease, this could be information, this could be money. And some of you that have teenage boys probably will realize, or teenage girls for that matter, will realize that this transfer can be monetary supply. So, hey, dad, I need some money to go to the movies, and then you supply that. I don't see money coming back from them to me, but my money is always supplying funds to them. Now, how do we collect network data? As I was talking about the example of egocentric network methods, and I'm going to borrow a little bit on this study, an Arrow one that is funded by NIH, in which we are studying, we are now in the 6th year of the follow-up, for Hispanic immigrants from Central America and Mexico who have been in the country for only 6 months or less. And some of them are established immigrants who have been in the country for 2 years or more. We conducted interviews and we asked information about the egos and the alters, oral, physical, and mental health, social networks, and a whole bunch of things that were important for us, mapping the longitudinal evolution of networks. We have over 500 participants as we speak. Now, how do we collect social network data? There are 3 main components: name generators, name interpreters, and the alter by alter connections. And keep in mind those 3 elements: generators, interpreters, and connections. The first ones are the name generators. This is a fascinating thing for human nature, because these are questions that are asked to solicit the names of people in Ego's life, in Gerardo's life, for example. Gerardo, from time to time, most people discuss important matters with other people. Looking back over the last 6 months, who were the people in your life, in Gerardo's life, with whom you discuss important matters? Who are the people you can really count on? It's actually quite remarkable that throughout the world, most people will mention between 1 and 4 people in the name generator question. In fact, this name generator question is widely used in egocentric methods because it's remarkably consistent. We tend to have up to 4, sometimes more, but usually between 1 and 4 people who go back and say, well, should I marry this woman? I'm fed up with my job. I think I'm going to resign. What do you think? Should I get a divorce? I'm thinking of moving to another country. What do you think? So this is a kind of counseling on people that are really close to us and they know us enough to be good counselors. We created in IU this other name generator. Who are the people with whom you discuss issues about dental health? The people in your life that you feel you can really count on for help when you have dental problems. And then you move to the interpreters. You have the list of names generated in the name generators. Now, the interpret, what is it that those alters do for you, are related for you? So we ask, oye, Gerardo, tell me all the ways that you are connected to the alter, to each one of them. Is the alter male or female? What is alter's country of origin? And let's say that my alter is Maria. What is the highest level of education that Maria has completed? How strong is your relationship to Maria? In the last 6 months, how often did you see or talk to Maria? And then you ask all of these questions for all of those names generated in the name generator. And the idea here is that you don't only have the important people to you along those lines of the name generator, but also you actually disaggregate how that person is important, what are the characteristics of that person. You're interviewing, but you're collecting data from them. Another way that you can look at these names that are generated is how they interact with each other. Let's say that in my case, I have Maria, Martin, Juan, Carlos, and Alejandra. And I ask Gerardo how they know each other. So we have that Maria and Martin, they know each other, well, they know one another and are very close. So we score a 3. Then we have the relationships of Maria with a 3, in this case, Juan. Are they close? Yes, they know one another and are very close. Then we have Maria and A4, in this case is Carlos, and that will be a 0. They don't know one another. And this will help us characterize how that group of people that are surrounding Gerardo are related to each other. And you can see that Maria and Juan have a very close relationship, indicated by the thickness of the bar in between them. And Maria and Martin have a very close relationship, but there are some of them that really don't know each other, like Juan and Carlos. This may sound simple and intuitive, but the beauty of doing all of this is that we can add values, numeric values, and then we can conduct statistical models to answer questions. In this case, for example, we have an interesting example with the average marginal effect of network health knowledge. So we ask, how much do they know about health knowledge? All of these, Maria, Juan, Carlos, all of those people. And then we find that the probability for Gerardo to have oral pain diminishes with the increasing amount of health knowledge of the network, which essentially means that there is some sort of health capital that is operating at some level between the group of people who know Gerardo and Gerardo's experience of pain. So this talks about the use of health capital and social capital and different other things that you can ask through these techniques. What are the take-home messages for this introduction to the process? Well, you provide context and examine social determinants of health in the same dimension of mechanisms and phenomena that underlie health outcomes. The egocentric network analysis is useful to examine the immediate social environment in which an individual is embedded. You don't have to guess. You don't have to assume that, well, because they know each other, they probably influence each other. You can actually quantify the level of knowledge and influence. And that is a precise quantification of the relationship between actors in a social structure. This is a very short introduction. I hope that I'm still within my time. Yeah, more or less. And I want to thank Caroline Brooks that we put together a much larger version of this presentation for an international conference a few months ago. So I simplified it to illustrate the conversation we have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maupome, for sharing this very interesting translational research. What a great example of the kind of work that Dr. Sandra Petronio envisioned way back when we started this center. And there may be questions and opportunity for discussion. I know you're open to hearing from folks. And what we're going to do is in a couple of minutes, allow you to go to breakout rooms to talk to not only Dr. Maupome, but several other of our translational scholars. And before we go to this, I want to share a brief, quick update about the 2020 Vance Petronio Tripp Faculty Awardee, Dr. Peter Schubert. If you were here with us last year, you might have remembered that he invited us to join an adventure called the Cape of Wonders. He led a group of students over this last year in imagining a roadmap to create a structure to coordinate broad, multidisciplinary endeavors across our campus that can translate research into practice. Those students are creating a report of their experience, and they're describing how the Cape of Wonders project this last year demonstrates how it would work. The original Cape of Wonders participants are invited to an update tomorrow to learn about the next steps about how to move the ideas that were generated last year into reality. It's very exciting to see how our faculty continue to build our campus and translational research initiatives. So we look for great things from you, Dr. Maupome, this next year. So you and I have to talk about what are we going to do to continue these efforts about translational research. But now we'd like you to learn more about today's other featured translational scholars and their translational work. So in addition to Dr. Maupome, we've invited 6 translational scholars to share their work. And after we hear from them, through a video presentation, you'll have the opportunity to visit them during breakout sessions. What we'll do is we'll open up breakout rooms and you can visit one of them. You can only go to one at a time. And after about 10 minutes or so, we'll bring you all back to this room and let you go pick another one. And we'll let you stay there for about 10 minutes and then we'll bring you all back here and let you go one more time to visit a third one. So you'll get to see 3 out of these 5 different rooms that we'll have available. But first, I know you'll want some more information about the other projects that we have today. So we're going to go ahead and move to a video for that. Go ahead, Nuri.
Hi, I'm Dr. Maria Brand, professor in the Department of Communication Studies.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Bute, Associate Professor in the Department of Communication Studies.
Our research project is titled Understanding COVID-19 Birth Stories. In this year-long project, we first conducted focus groups with women across the country to learn about their experiences of giving birth during the COVID-19 pandemic. This occurred when their state or local governments had issued stay-at-home orders. Then, a year later, we followed up with each of the women individually to find out what it was like to raise a newborn during the pandemic.
We found that the isolation of stay-at-home orders, in addition to changes in healthcare policy such as limitations on hospital visitors and in-person appointments, had a profound effect on women. Women discussed in detail the mental health challenges that they faced during the pandemic, including postpartum depression and anxiety, and they felt that these were really heightened by the pandemic. Women also talked about the challenges of managing who could see and hold their newborn. And so they were confronted with managing the safety of their babies with family members' expectations about who could visit the baby.
And the women in our study were very grateful for the opportunity to connect with other women with similar experiences. That way they knew that they were not alone. They even provided recommendations for helping pregnant women and new moms who were trying to navigate motherhood during this very unprecedented time. And they spoke to the media about our project so that other women would feel supported.
Please join us as we discuss our findings further and answer any questions you might have.
Hello, my name is Hamid Dalir. I'm an associate professor and graduate chair of Motorsports Engineering program here at IUPUI. Today I will be talking about a project that I, along with my colleagues Dr. Mangalal Agarwal and Dr. Amanda Siegel from Integrated Nano-System Development Institute have been conducting since January of 2019. The project is about multi-scale design and manufacturing of lighter composite parts for automotive and aerospace structures. I'll provide you with a little bit of background. So while conventional carbon fiber composites are being widely used in aerospace and defense sectors, their layered nature causes interlaminar strength disadvantages, leading to their premature failure under operational loading. After working for almost 8 years in composite R&D for aerospace and defense, and understanding the key challenges, we started investigating the use of fine filament of carbon nanotube epoxy nanocomposites developed as part of this project at Indy, enabling the industry a potential 30% additional weight saving. Manufacturing lighter but tougher structures motivated us to inaugurate a university startup named Multiscale Integrated Technology Solutions LLC in June of 2019, where our focus has been on working with companies such as Dallara, SRAM, and Bauer to reduce the weight and cost of their parts, which means less use of non-eco-friendly carbon fibers, leading to lower CO2 emissions, improving the quality of life of our nation. In 2021, we secured several grants and investments on our technology. We've won a statewide competition held by Indiana Elevate Nexus, which resulted in investments from the state in our technology. We also received over 400K grants from various agencies, including National Science Foundation, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and Elevate, among others. We have been featured in several interviews such as Inside Indiana Business, Tech Talk, Fox 59, WTHR, and we anticipate follow-up investments of about $3 to $5 million in 2022. MITS has secured the key IP from IUPUI, including full rights to develop, exercise, license, sub-license, market, and sell technologies related to the material system proposed in this research. I appreciate your attention to this talk, and I would be glad to see you in the breakout rooms and in the fall showcase. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Xu-Kai Zhou. I'm a professor at Computer Science Department. One of our ongoing NSF research projects is creating secure and privacy-preserving cyber infrastructures. This project is the first attempt to to build a secure, holistic, and resilient cybersecurity architecture for any computing system so that different type of users can remotely access and share protected data, resource, and workflow in a free, flexible, yet finely controlled manner. The developed secure infrastructure will provide multiple-level comprehensive protection from user authentication to fine-tuned data access to confidentiality, integrity, availability, and traceability. The developed secure architecture is based on cutting-edge and advanced security technologies, many of which has been invented or designed ourselves. The secure architecture can be applied to any multi-user and dynamic data resource sharing system and cyber infrastructure, such as scientific infrastructure, healthcare system, power grid infrastructure, and law enforcement and forensic systems, and even smart city and smart home infrastructure to protect the system and the infrastructure from both internal and external attacks. I hope you would find this topic is interesting and see you in separate session. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Niraman Akemi. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Health Policy and Management at the IU Fairbanks School of Public Health.
And I'm Dr. Catherine Head. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Communication Studies in the IU School of Liberal Arts.
Our project is titled, What is Motivating Parents' COVID-19 Vaccine Decisions? A statewide survey of Indiana parents.
The COVID-19 vaccine is already available to children over 12 years old, and it will soon be available for school-aged children aged 5 to 11 years old. We wanted to understand who's your parents' perceptions of the COVID-19 vaccine and assess their intentions to get their children vaccinated. This sort of information can assist state and local governments, public health agencies, and community organizations in designing parent and family-focused interventions to ensure that we have high vaccination uptake among our children.
So in the late spring, we worked with both the Indiana Department of Health and the Indiana Department of Education to recruit parents and caregivers across the state to fill out a web-based survey that assessed their perceptions about the COVID-19 vaccine. Over 10,000 parents filled out the anonymous survey. Some of the key findings include that only about 45% of parents have or intend to vaccinate their children, while about 42% do not intend to do so. In the middle, we had about 13% of parents who said that they wanted to wait and see. And of those that were waiting and seeing, we found some interesting perceptions about the vaccine that may suggest ways that we can develop targeted educational messages to hopefully encourage them to get vaccinated, such as perceptions about the safety of the vaccine, perceptions of what parents thought other parents were doing, and perceptions of what parents thought their healthcare provider wanted them to do.
Based on these findings, we've developed a set of evidence-based recommendations and suggestions for designing parent and family-focused COVID-19 vaccination interventions that can be implemented across communities in the state of Indiana.
We look forward to getting together with all of you at the Church Showcase and diving deeper into this work.
Well, now you have a better sense of what our scholars were working on, and you probably have a lot of questions for all of these different presentations and projects. So now you have an opportunity to go down to the bottom of your Zoom screen and look for the breakout room tab. We'll invite you to go ahead and go to the room of your choice. If there's too many people in a room, you can come back and go to a different room, and we'll have you stay there for about 10 to 12 minutes. We'll bring everybody back to this room, including our presenters, and then you can go back to the room again so that you have a chance to see up to 3 of these different presentations. So please enjoy your time to learn more about the great work that's going on here at IUPUI. And we invite you now to hop into those different breakout rooms just by going down to the bottom of your screen.